So Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelenskyy arrived in Spain for an official visit where he secured a €1 billion military aid deal with Madrid.
This is Zelensky's first visit to Spain since he took office in 2019. And right now, joining us right now is Jozef Hrabina, geopolitical risk advisor at GeopoLytics. Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good evening.
Now, just a few weeks ago, we have been reporting that President Zelenskyy cancelled all his foreign trips because of the situation in Kharkiv, yet he decided to go to Spain. Now, what does it say about the importance of this trip?
Well, definitely just the sheer amount dedicated by Spain shows that the trip was very important, and as the gravitas on the battlefield is shifting, I think it's a great signal from Spain, that has been one of the smallest contributors to Ukraine's war efforts and defense efforts first and foremost. Therefore, it's a good signal, and of course, if there is a multi-year deal involving also Patriot missiles and also immediate help to Ukrainian army or military, it was worth traveling right now.
Right, Jozef, but do we know exactly what will this €1 billion be spent on?
We have no precise information about what is going to be included in a package. We so far it's the only equipment that made it into public sphere was where Leopard 2 tanks, which are second-hand, I think, and also a few dozens of Patriot missiles for the air defense systems. But Spain pledged some Spain-made weapon systems and Spain-made arms. So I think this will be mainly included in a package.
Mm-hmm. Now, President Zelenskyy signed similar agreements with 9 other countries. Now, are these, yet Zelenskyy is calling for more weapons and more support from his allies. Now, does it say that these agreements look good on paper and that weapons is still not reaching Ukraine in the amount that it's needed there?
Well, in the past few weeks, we recorded, let's say, slowdown of Russian advances thanks to arrival of new weapon deliveries, most notably artillery shells. It depends on what do you mean by not enough. You mean an absolute victory? Well, I don't think there is enough spare weaponry for something like that. For fortifying Ukraine and containing Russia, I think there is enough weaponry in the West, but I think there should be more coordinated approach and more. I know there's many things. There are many information that shouldn't be public. So maybe there is much more coordinated approach and much more understanding into what needs to be delivered to the front line and on what timeline. But so far, at least the beginning or first half of this year, it's already end of May.
I mean, you're right. We don't really see what is happening there, probably behind the closed doors. However, we do see maps, and we do see how Russia is advancing, and we see Kharkiv. And actually, President Zelenskyy is saying that the situation is secured and combat controlled, while others are saying that the situation is dire. So we see contradicting information.
I mean, just look at the calls for peace negotiations from Ukrainian side, even though under the certain terms that cannot be publicly changed. But I mean that is saying it all. Unfortunately, and this is what I wanted to say, that this approach to military aid is rather chaotic this year. So So yeah, I wouldn't say it's enough, and I wouldn't say it's good enough. But we're working with what we have. A lot of that is determined by political will, and that political will is often restrained by public opinions, which is, well, you know the situation in the public. So this is a vicious circle, and I hope Ukraine will, or not only Ukraine, especially its allies, will find ways how to fortify Ukraine and stop Russia from advancing, because the situation really looks bad. Even though past week or two have been rather slow at pace of advances right now.
Right, Jozef, but what many experts point to is the fact that to slow down the Russian advance, it would be useful to attack Russian facilities inside Russia, right? So now we have this big debate about attacking Russia with NATO-made weapons in Russia. And I'm wondering about this new deal with Spain, whether the weaponry purchased for apparently for €1 billion will be used on Russian territory. And now that Sweden gave a green light for Ukraine to use its weapons on Russian territory, do you think that other countries of the NATO pact will follow?
Well, I mean, if we would follow patterns from the past, we should probably see Denmark, Netherlands, potentially Czech Republic, and even though Czech Republic doesn't have they don't have long-range missile systems, though. This group of countries usually is following certain pattern of let's say opening so-called Pandora boxes, and if we will see, I mean, we saw Sweden has already agreed, so we might see other countries agreeing to such an action. I'm personally, I'm conflicted, because really it can happen. It can. I don't know how Russia will react to this. Of course, there's an initiative of shooting Russian missiles from NATO countries over Ukraine. This is another big debate, and a lot will depend on Russian reactions. And let's just not forget that that Russia has been reacting very aggressively over the past few years, especially when its vital interests were at stake. So I would not dare to say that this is good or bad. I definitely understand the need for that, especially in Kharkiv region, or I mean, not in Kharkiv region, but in Kursk and Belgorod regions, which are neighboring with Kharkiv, and Sumy regions. Yes, many Russian, there are Russian aircraft starting from there. They can use their aircraft for shooting, for launching these guided missiles, which are so dangerous recently. And Ukraine has very little measures or active measures to prevent Russia from doing so. So it's obvious that they would really want that.
So why are countries reluctant to allow Ukraine to use these weapons on Russian territory? What is the reasoning?
And which countries are those? And which countries are those? Because, it's still unclear to us.
Oh, well, I think it's pretty clear. I think it's pivoted by Germany. There was discussion about using Taurus missiles back in I think it was March this year. And I would say they said it pretty clear. We don't want our soldiers be on the ground. They even disclosed some other countries, from some other NATO countries, being present and servicing their missile system or advanced systems on the ground. So they're really afraid for being dragged into war. B, they're afraid of Russia's reaction that can really strike their facilities in the country. It's
Yes, I was going to say
Tit for tat.
they're afraid of what Russia is going to do, because as we know, Russia likes provocations and they're looking for that.
Yeah, I'll just like to remind you on the other hand that Russia was threatening the US with some retaliation when they delivered, these short-range weapons that stopped the initial invasion on Kiev, right? 2 years ago, more than 2 years ago. So should we really be that concerned about threats from Russia?
Jozef, that's for you.
I mean, the question is, I understand this argument, and I follow the debate very closely. But also Russia 2 years ago, when it was failing on all fronts, and its forces were collapsing, and they were retreating from Ukraine, and basically the Russian army was in shreds, are way different today from what they've been 2 years ago. And with that also comes hubris. With that also comes some motivation to hurt the enemy and whoever comes with the enemy. Of course, for Russians, we are all the enemy. So this needs to be reminded. But again, I understand the logic. And I follow the logic. I just don't want to side with neither of the sides, because I understand the risks and I understand the needs for that. So it's
complicated.
I do not envy those who are about to decide on the matter.
Neither do we, believe me. Jozef Hrabina, geopolitical risk advisor, GeopoLytics, was our guest tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.